Hey, what's up you guys, it's Joey. Today's video, as you can tell by the title, is going to be how to become an herbalist slash my 10 tips how to be an herbalist. Before this video gets started, I wanted to say that there are going to be 2 polls in the cards of this video that I want you guys to answer honestly, and they pertain to the announcement at the end of this video. So before I get into my tips, I wanted to make sure that you guys knew the definition of what an herbalist slash herbalism is. Herbalism, by definition, is the study or practice of medicinal and therapeutic use of plants, now especially as a form of alternative medicine. Basically, it's using plants and herbs to heal your body instead of chemicals. With that being said, my first tip is to research. You guys, this is kind of a self-explanatory one. I don't even know why I'm including it. You obviously have to research if you want to get into something new, whether that's websites, Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube, or books even. I use Pinterest a lot, and personally Tumblr and Facebook and YouTube as well. Some of my favorite YouTube herbalists are Susan Weed and Rosemary Gladstar. And some of my favorite books for herbalism are The Green Pharmacy by James A. Duke, PhD, or however you would say that. New Choices in Natural Healing, and Rosemary Gladstar's books. Her books are more recipe books, but they're really, really good books at that. Number 2 is to practice. Practice makes perfect. It's an age-old saying for an age-old practice. Wow, that was full circle. Without practicing on somebody or something, you will never learn how it actually works. A while back, like a few weeks ago, my girlfriend was sick and I made her herbs. Didn't really work for her, but that helped knowing that that particular formula didn't work out, because from that experience, from that learning experience, I'm able to build on the formula and make it better. Number 3, probably one of the most controversial ones and the most debated ones. I see a lot of people talking about how they need a mortar and pestle and all these fancy jars and a dehydrator and a big garden and all these big expenses. Whenever I first started out herbalism, I used a spoon and a bowl for a mortar and pestle, Ziploc bags for my herbs, and I hung dry all my herbs. What I'm trying to get out here is that you guys do not need fancy equipment. Mortar and pestles can be upwards of $10. Mason jars in bulk can be upwards of $10. Dehydrators can be upwards of $150 to $200. You don't need to spend all that money to become a good herbalist. Number 4 is to collect your herbs. And you're probably like, what are you talking about, collect your herbs? Whenever I first started herbalism, I thought that if I memorized all of the herbs and I just memorized their uses and their scientific Latin names, that I would be good whenever I finally bought the herbs. It was a big mistake because I forgot all of that by the time I bought my herbs, or well, actually all of my herbs that I have been grown here, but I forgot all that by the time I harvested them. My top tip for you guys, for those of you who want to become an herbalist, is to start with one herb. Maybe pick an herb that's local to you, or maybe pick an herb that you see like often on the way to work or on the way out your door every day. Make sure you pick one of those. Take that herb, find its medicinal uses, and practice with it. There's no need to buy a huge supply of herbs and then not know what they do. Also, this summer, be looking out for an Etsy shop, because I'm going to be selling some of my herbs, because I'm going to have a huge herb garden, and I'm going to make smudges and tinctures and stuff like that. So if you guys do want that, make sure you guys look out for that towards the middle of summer. Number 5 is to grow your own herbs, and this one couldn't be something that I recommend more, because I find that whenever I grow my herbs, they are really good quality over someone else's herbs. This past summer, I had a small container garden because I started seeds really, really late. I had a large basil bush, and I didn't use them because I didn't have any use for them. I didn't want to dry them and then just keep them in my room for me not to use them. So I decided to dry it and give it to my dad. My dad had bought a giant jar of basil for like $10 prior to this. It was sucky. It had stems in it and it was just gross and didn't taste like basil, it just tasted like leaves, like grass. And so whenever I gave him my basil, you could tell it was basil. The basil that I grew was so much more pungent than what it was in the jar that he purchased. Whenever you grow your own herbs, you are more likely to know how they were grown. Actually, you will know how they're grown. You know how they're fertilized, you'll know how they're planted, when they were planted, how mature they are, if the seeds are gross, if they were taken care of properly. Number 6 is to love nature, and obviously, I don't have a problem with that. Loving nature will definitely aid you in your process, because before I was an herbalist, I definitely took nature for granted. I ended up like littering a lot, and I would never care about recycling or anything like that. If I saw a weed, I would be like, oh, it's a weed, spray it with bleach or some harsh chemical. But now as an herbalist, I can identify the weed and say, yeah, it doesn't have any medicinal uses, take it out. So as a practicing herbalist, I've grown a deeper love for nature, because I'm taking what's out there I'm using it for in here. Number 7 is to submerge yourself in the culture. As I talked about before, researching, you should join Pinterest boards, Facebook forums, or Facebook groups, web forums, email lists, YouTube channels, anything to get your hand in the door, or foot in the door. Maybe it's foot in the door. I'm not good with expressions. I know that by surrounding myself in any culture, I have learned to love the culture more. When I was trying to learn French, I submerged myself in the French culture with Pinterest and follow people who are French on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. There's tons of Pinterest boards talking about herbs. In fact, my Pinterest board has a ton of boards. Some of them are in Spanish, but some of them are in English. Most of them are English. Find somewhere that you're constantly seeing things about herbalism, because when you constantly see things, you constantly gain information and knowledge about the subject. Number 8 is to teach others. And you're probably like, Joey, people are going to get so annoyed with me with following them on Facebook, teaching others, all this kind of stuff, sharing things on Facebook, that kind of thing. And yes, maybe they will. But by teaching others, they become interested. You could possibly be making their life more healthy. And also by projecting your knowledge onto somebody, it helps you memorize those things better. So you can be like, oh yeah, I told Sally that plantain's good for your skin, or yarrow's good for many things as a styptic powder when grinded off the leaves, or roses are an astringent, that kind of thing. It will help you remember that fact, that information, try again, Joey, about the plant. Most of my friends are very, very interested in herbs. Actually, they oftentimes ask me whenever they're sick for herbs. Number 9 is to understand that herbs are not pills. Every time I talk to somebody who tried herbalism, they're like, herbs didn't work for me, maybe my body's immune to them or something. Oftentimes when talking to people about herbs and herbalism, I tell them that herbs are more of a crutch than a cast. They help you along your journey, they help you stay afloat and stay balanced during that time of healing, but they don't harshly fix you. Herbs are something that heal you over time because the chemicals in pills are so concentrated that they are meant to just whack you with a ton of chemicals. And oftentimes, as you guys see in commercials, they're like suicidal thoughts may occur, obesity, type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes, depression, cancer, suicidal thoughts, all these things. Herbs don't do that. Herbs are natural and loving. You never see somebody overdosing on herbs. Number 10 is to get out there. Actually, a funny story, how I got this one in my list. Last summer, my neighbor's brother had giant elderberry bushes. He had a ton of elderberries, and he was going to cut them down. My neighbor's brother called my neighbor and told my neighbor that he had a ton of elderberries and he was going to cut them down unless he didn't want them. Well, my neighbor said, actually keep them, my neighbor's an herbalist and he'll come collect them. And I did. Whenever I went there, the guy was super nice, I collected them, and now I have a giant stock of elderberries. So by getting out there, people will help you learn and help you in your process. So yeah, those are my 10 tips on how to become an herbalist. I hope you enjoyed it. As an herbalist and as a nature lover for the past few years of my life, I have always wanted a greenhouse. My parents have always gardened, my grandparents have always gardened, and now I'm starting to get into herbalism and gardening. This summer, I'm finally getting a greenhouse. I know, I'm so excited. My greenhouse is going to be 8 by 10, and I'm going to have, drumroll please, I'm going to have a total of 8 beds in 576 square feet of growing space. So, with that being said, the polls at the top of this video are going to be these following 2 questions. The first one will be, do you guys think that I should make greenhouse videos talking about the putting up process, the building process, the growing process, everything about greenhouses and that kind of stuff, and informative videos about that, or just not talk about it? The second one will be, do you guys want to see an herb garden video or series of videos talking about how to grow herbs, how to use herbs, etc. But yes guys, that is my video. Oh, really quickly, I want to show you the list of things that I'm growing in my garden this year. I'm literally growing 56 different plants in my garden this year, and I'm so excited. It is currently March 12th or 13th, and I'm already starting seeds. Our last frost is May 11th, and oh, I'm so excited. Anyways guys, those are my 10 tips for how to become an herbalist and my special announcement. Remember to take those polls and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. And yes, that is it. That's all I have to say for today. That rhymed. My name is Joey, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Remember, stay happy, hippie.